We got this story from The Hill because this is part of the defense, and I think we should bring it up. Chauvin defense attorney claims Floyd said, quote, "I ate too many drugs" in arrest video. This is really weird because you can't really hear exactly what they're saying in this video. It's just this loud clamoring. I guess maybe George Floyd said it, but to me, it's like that Yanny Laurel thing. If someone plays a weird sound and tells you, here's what they said, you'll hear it, you know? There's this really funny song where they have, it's a very short meme song. I can't remember what it was. It's like 30 seconds where they're saying the same thing over and over again, the same phrase, but the text shows a different phrase.
Yes.
So it sounds like they're saying different things, but it's the same word over and over and over again. So when they play this video and you can't really make it out and they're like, doesn't it sound like Floyd said I ate too many drugs? You're like, maybe? Well, so here's where it gets crazy. The prosecutor says, he didn't say I ate too many drugs. He said, I ain't do any drugs. Which one was it? Well, hold on. He said one of the two, right? That's the argument. So either he said he's admitting to it or he's lying because we know from the Tox report that he did eat the drugs. So what do you think he said?
Well, I don't know what he says, and it's not going to matter if Chauvin didn't write it in a case report because Chauvin can just deny that he heard anything. But the thing is that if the prosecution is shooting themselves in the foot again. If he said I ate too many drugs and Chauvin did not recognize that he needed aid to be rendered to him, then Chauvin would be potentially culpable in not rendering aid to a person who admitted to swallowing drugs. And the prosecution turned around and said, no, he didn't say that. He said, I didn't do no drugs. Well, then that makes Chauvin even more, a reasonable person because he's saying I didn't do no drugs. So there's no reason to put him on his side in the recovery position.
That's what I wanted to get to with this story, is that it seems like the defense is pulling a Bugs Bunny on the prosecutors. So you guys, in Looney Tunes, when Daffy and Bugs, and there's this rabbit season and duck season, and Daffy is saying it's rabbit season, and Bugs like, no, it's duck season. Then all of a sudden Bugs goes, it's rabbit season. And then Daffy goes, no, it isn't, it's duck season. And then Bugs goes, okay. And then Elmer Fudd shoots Daffy. That's basically what happened. They're like, didn't he say he ate drugs? No, he didn't say that. He said he didn't eat drugs. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Chauvin should not have rendered aid because they didn't do any drugs.
I'm wondering, are they that brilliant or it's just falling that way?
Slipping on banana peels and doing backflips.
Because what they're trying to argue is, it's two things being argued here. They're trying to preserve the prosecution is trying to preserve the character of George Floyd. Yeah. So him saying I ate too many drugs is proving that his character is a drug user and then he's crazy out of his mind. But they're fighting that. They're saying, no, he said I didn't do no drugs. George Floyd wasn't a bad guy. But that's playing into the lap of the defense because they're not caring if he's a good guy or a bad guy. They're trying to decide whether Chauvin was rightfully knowledgeable about him being potentially overdosing from drugs. Should he have been set in a recovery position? Was he experiencing excited delirium? Which is another term that I haven't heard every word of the case, but I haven't heard excited delirium brought up much.
I wonder if the prosecutor or the defense is going to listen to this and they're going to get the idea because the trial's ongoing. Oh. And then this prosecutor is going to be like, the other day we mentioned that, the defense said George Floyd said I ate too many drugs. Yes. We agree. He did say that. Chauvin should have rendered aid because the defense agrees. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy how that works out that way. Trying to defend the character, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
It's too late now.
I know.
Do you have the audio? Can you play that audio? Is it available?
Oh, I can't. Not on YouTube because it's part of the whole. YouTube doesn't allow you to show the Floyd incident.
I don't know how you guys feel, but once I found out that he had fentanyl, norfentanyl, and that was overdosing
and meth,
it looks like a drug overdose death.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, just for the sake of understanding fentanyl for a second, fentanyl is one of the most potent and dangerous drugs that I know that exist at this point. It is more, dangerous than a horse tranquilizer. It is more potent in little bitty grams of it. If you research, and I did a video about this, and it showed a Phoenix police officer, and I'll tell you how it evolved. A Phoenix police officer with gloves on was handling a drug laced with fentanyl, and he passed out and they had to administer Narcan to him or he would have died. Whoa. Just for inhaling vapor from a drug laced with fentanyl.
Wow.
And our department, when I was on the department, fentanyl, when it first came to our understanding how potent it was, every drug we test, you have to wear a full hazmat suit to test every drug. Gloves, you got to wear a mask, and you got to have a complete hazmat suit on because fentanyl can seep through the skin. You can inhale it, and if you ingest it, you might as well call yourself dead.
So we pulled up from the DEA.gov an image of a lethal dose of fentanyl, and it's next to a penny. Have you ever seen this photo?
No, I haven't.
It's 1/100th the size of a penny.
Yeah.
A lethal dose of fentanyl.
Yeah, lethal.
It shows a penny on the screen, and there's tiny little white specks.
Yeah.
I've heard these stories, man. I remember in Chicago they called it super heroin because, like you said, you could accidentally just inhale a tiny bit, you're dead. People didn't get it.
So it's like lab created opiate that didn't exist 12 years ago. Like it's a new thing, right? I don't know when it was invented.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it's new or they're newly administering this as a additive to these drugs, because think about it, see how little that is. You get a lot of that, it go a long way. You sprinkle a little of that in some methamphetamine, which is probably what Floyd was taking, and it'll drive you nuts, and you only need a little bit and you could charge way more because you got some powerful stuff.
Do you know
there.
what kind of meth it was that was in his system?
Just methamphetamine.
Well, there's like methyl and dioxymethamphetamine, which is MDMA, a crystal meth, which is much more dangerous than MDMA.
In the tox report, it's just listed as methamphetamine.
And I almost think that any methamphetamine that is street level is going to be the crystal methamphetamine because it's the way they cook it and
that's
put it
my
together,
assumption.
and they begin to sell it that way, and people get in these little crystals. I've never seen methamphetamine in any other form except crystal.
And then if they mix fentanyl with crystal meth, is that the idea? That's what the speedball is?
Speedball, yeah.
Yeah, and normally, speedball can be mixed with methamphetamine and heroin. So it's kind of like that mixture of an upper and a
some sort of
downer.
opiate with
some opiate with the upper, and typically it's methamphetamine. And dude, that's dangerous, man. People do speedballs. That's a thing. People do speedballs all the time, and they don't live with all of that. You know what I'm saying? You taking it, ingesting it into your body over time, you're going to die. Mm-hmm. Heroin is killed. I had a family member die from a heroin overdose. Heroin is pretty legitimate. These opiates are really legitimate. And Floyd, I guarantee you that methamphetamine and fentanyl probably isn't his typical drug. I think that he probably started using that after a while. I'm pretty sure he used all kinds of stuff. They'll do anything to get high. If you a crystal meth, you have done a lot of other stuff to get a high, and crystal meth is kind of like, especially if you're black, and I'm not making it a race thing. It's a cultural thing. In most black areas, they do crack, the crack rocks. They do crack. When you start getting the meth, you are on another level. You have now branched out of the typical drug arena that you're in, and you're starting to go and deal with people who are on another level of drug production. And that's just my opinion. That's not every city, but in my city, that was.
Do you know the lethal dose of methamphetamine is?
No.
I tried to look this up. It's really hard to find. Fentanyl was easy to look up. Not only does the DEA have a photo showing you how tiny bit of fentanyl can kill you, but they also talk about between 10 and 20 nanograms per milliliter is anesthesia range, where you basically get knocked out. And that at 7 nanograms per milliliter, in combination with other drugs, is where you're in overdose territory.
Right.
Otherwise, it's around like 11 or so. Right. Now, the norfentanyl in the system is a metabolite of fentanyl, meaning he might have even had 17 nanograms per milliliter when he first ingested this. Wow. He had 19 nanograms per milliliter of methamphetamine in the system. I don't know what the lethal concentration for meth is, and I couldn't find it, but he had a lot.
He also had tobacco, which is a stimulant.
Caffeine.
Yeah. Oh, caffeine and THC.
Cotinine or something.
Yeah, that's from
it's two different kinds of THC in the system. He had a big combination.
Like I'm saying, this guy is a habitual drug user. He's going to his next high, and this was his next high. And then it ended up, but I don't think he wasn't, I don't think he was actively getting high at the time. It's that he got caught with a whole thing of drugs and he had to swallow it. And it killed him. I mean, what's the guy, the little rapper that was on the airplane?
Yeah, I remember.
And he flew on a private jet and he had drugs
Prince. He died from fentanyl, but that's probably not who you're talking about.
No, it's a rapper. It was recent. A rapper. He landed somewhere.
He's like 25.
And they thought the cops killed him or something like that. But what happened was he got caught with marijuana, but he has other drugs that he ingested, and so he ended up ingesting them and dying. Like I said, I know people, and I'm not going to disclose how I know them. Who they are specifically, but I know people that have gotten caught by the cops.
Was that Juice WRLD?
No,
I think it was Juice WRLD. Was it Juice WRLD? Somebody.
Yeah, he swallowed
he
swallowed
did
Percocet
die.
at Chicago Airport.
Swallowed Percocet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hardcore.
because he didn't want to get caught, so he swallowed more than you would take. You're trying to swallow the whole thing so you don't get caught with any of it. Because once it's in your body, they can't charge you with anything.
See, that's a war on drugs thing for me, though. You know what I mean?
Man, kind of, man. It's a whole ring of behaviors. But if people were just growing methamphetamine, which you don't grow. I mean, it's a lot of chemical compounds to get meth. But if you had cocaine and you were just doing coca leaves and cocaine, I don't even know how it's made, but you're just doing it in your backyard. Who cares? Nobody will ever know.
This dude's on a plane.
But how did he get it is the question. What is he doing with it is another question. And a lot of times these people are getting it through nefarious means, meaning that they're contributing to the cartel in Mexico and all the trafficking that goes on and gun smuggling and trade and all of that goes in those drugs getting here. And then when they get here, what are they doing to other people? The distributor is killing people.
Yeah.
That's to me, if you sell drugs, if you sell heroin to somebody or you sell methamphetamine to somebody, I would like for that to be a form of attempted murder. If that person dies and you sold it to him, you should be charged with murder.
But let's say we stop these laws. All of a sudden, the cartels go out of business.
They're not going to go out of business.
Well, you know what's going on with the cartels now? You want to know what they started selling?
What?
With marijuana being legalized in a bunch of different states, they found a new cash crop that they've started seizing upon.
What is it?
Avocados.
Oh, I saw
No
that.
joke. No joke.
I saw the article.
Avocados.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I even went down to Mexico.
I mean, what are they doing with avocados?
They-
Just the avocados that you eat, or are they doing something
that you eat.
weird
that you
with
eat.
it?
That you
Business
eat.
is business.
Because they found they're extremely valuable, and Americans has a high demand for avocados. So with the legalization of marijuana, here's what ends up happening is they're like, we used to have essentially a monopoly on this product because the government said it was illegal, so you needed someone under the radar to come and take it. Well, if it's legal, we're going to maximize profits. Guess what? Now that people can get cheaper illegal stuff, avocados are worth way more. So they started saying, okay, then they go to these avocado farms and they're like, we're going to distribute this for you from now on. And so what happens is a lot of that criminal enterprise it breaks down because the cartels are like, avocados are legal. We just bring them in, you know? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.